Mr. Scout. I know you're still weighing whether to return to Lumen. But the Mark I've come to know is happy.
Hello, is anyone there? Is the board on? It's Mark S. from Macro...
What you all did was one of the most painful moments in the history of this company.
What the hell?
But the four of you have become known as the face of Severance reform.
Okay, so we're not in trouble?
I don't think so. Milchick said we're famous.
All of us equally, or one of us is like the star?
Now if you feel that you can't go on,
So what the hell did you guys see up there?
It's not our world up there.
and your life is filled with much confusion.
My Audi's wife died a few years ago. Except the woman is Miss Casey.
So what are you gonna do?
I gotta get her out of here.
Mark, your Annie said she's alive.
This is obscene.
I just want to be sure.
And your world around is coming.
Why did you do this? What is this all about?
Do you know something about Gemma?
Mark, there'll be no honeymoon ending for you.
Your work will be remembered as one of the greatest moments of this planet.
You don't value them. You fear them. We fear no one.
I'm tightening the leash.
If we let this happen to Miss Casey, who's gonna step up when it happens to us?
Now. Goodbye, Marcus.
Wait!
My name is Miss Huang. It's my first day here as deputy manager. Mark W.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.
So good afternoon, gentlemen. Carolyn for Carolyn Talks Podcast YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about Severance. I want to talk a bit about here and attitude. So I noticed that for Mr. Milchick, Tramell, your hair in season 2 is a bit different than it was in season 1. In season 1, your afro was more compact, more round. And in season 2, he's getting a little bit of an angle. And it might seem trivial, but I kind of actually attribute that to his attitude changing. He's kind of like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole in season 2, whereas in season 1, he was actually fitting into the hole. You know, he was fully into the mindset of being Mr. Milchick, of being a facilitator. But in season 2, he has power, but he doesn't know how to use it. And he's trying to figure out how he works in this new dynamic. And for Zach, Dylan, as you said earlier, you just said he's a bit of a hater. But he's a kind of a sweet hater. In season 1, he was more funny. He was much more easygoing. He was more easygoing with the flow, you know. But in season 2, he has an edge to him. There is a bit more of a undercurrent of he's fed up. He wants to get on. He doesn't know how to. And so I find both all of the characters are going through all of these changes, but I find both Mr. Milchick and Zach and Dylan, kind of almost like on opposite ends of the same spectrum, where they're like trying to fit into this dynamic, into this new space and into this new headset, this new headspace. And they're battling themselves. And so I want both of you to talk about the hair and the attitude of your characters for season 2. Tramell, will go with you, and then Zach.
Sure. You know, I'm so glad that you brought up the topic of hair and hair care. You know, this isn't something that I get to explore too much with the media to talk about his journey. And Milchick was on a journey when it comes to hair. His hair is basically another character, a part of who he is. And I have to give so much credit to Jennifer Lord, who does so much work in natural hair care in Hollywood to bring life in storytelling. We have to look at his positioning. You know, in season 1, he was basically a protege of Cobell. So his hair care was a bit different, a little bit more frazzled. But now in this position that he's in, because he's the boss, he's running the floor, there is a different perception that he has to uphold, right? He's more pristine, he's more crisp, he's sharper, and he has to lead with that. And I believe that that kind of specific fro, that angle, gives him more of a presence, and it does make him more intimidating in a way.
I really liked what you said about Dylan and Milchick being on kind of two different ends of the same spectrum, because I think something especially we kind of explore this season is how all the different characters at Lumen are sort of like trapped within the system that Lumen has created. And so even though Milchick is kind of Dylan's manager, he also has his own set of pressures and restrictions that he's going through. And Dylan this season gets this additional sort of carrot of his family, and it does really change his attitude in how he interacts with the people around him, and it makes him a little more alienated from them because he's so like worried about losing this new opportunity that he's been given.
Yeah, Dylan is just like he like a little chihuahua. Like he's snapping back, and I mean that in a complimentary, like he's snapping back at people very quickly, and like he's not about being affable anymore. And I love that change in him. And for the hair Tramell, you just rocking the furrow, and I'm trying to figure out how big it's going to eventually get. You know, if it's going to be a triangle or if it's going to be a square in season 3. We'll see. Thank you both so much.
We just got renewed, so we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, we'll see if it's a square or an octagon, maybe. We'll see.
Making notes.